Welcome to this first impressions review of Klotzen Panzer Battles, recently released on Steam. My name's Dickie, and I like to try and have a little bit of a look behind the game mechanics of the sophisticated and complex games I like to play. For the sake of transparency, I want to mention that, first of all, I'm quite flattered to do a review. I've been given a free review copy, and it's the first one I've been given, so that's nice. I'm also nostalgic. Once upon a time, when I was younger, I used to play Panzer Battles, so I'm quite interested to see what they've done, how they've reimagined it. Thirdly, I am slightly biased towards indie game makers. I think that that's where a lot of the innovation can come from. And fourthly, I'm always respectful of labours of love, and this certainly, from everything I've read, seems to be someone's passion for the original Panzer Battles, that they have poured time, effort, and love into creating something that has the spirit of the original, but takes advantage of all that you can do in 2022. My perspectives will be particularly around the user interface. I'm a user experience designer as my day job. I'm also a former military analyst at the Royal United Services Institute for Defence Studies, a long time ago, and of course, a lifelong wargamer. I'm going to look particularly at the kind of the gaminess of the game. Is it fun? Do I find it fascinating? Is there a level of depth behind there? What kind of features stand out? The user experience, is it easy to learn, easy to play? And for my own interest, I was like, great word, verisimilitude. Does it feel real? Does it have something that takes you back into this place? And then does it teach me something? Does it show me something about the Second World War that I hadn't really quite realized before? So those are the perspectives I'm going to use to come up with some sort of overall assessment. There are defects. I've listed out quite a few, but it literally has just been released. So I'm not going to harp on about any of those at the moment. And I'm going to report them back. They will get fixed, I'm sure. If we have a little look at the main menu, other people have mentioned they're not entirely sure why saving the game is for losers. I'm going to do a brand new game. It's the tutorial, and we're just going to play this through a couple of turns just to kind of get into the spirit of it. So let's hit play. Doesn't seem to be doing anything, but it is. It's just loading up the scenario. You get this continue button, and then here we go. And you pick a general. There's not too much of a choice to begin with, just the tutorial scenario. I do like the idea that you could buy an abysmal general. We'll go for merely a poor one. We will pick new general, and you can see we've got two skills that we can choose from. Other generals, better generals, will have a longer list. This actually is one of the features that I really, really like. It's the longest list that I've seen so far, and each and every one of them does something a little bit different and a little bit interesting. Let's just have a quick look here. So HQ friend removes 1 flaws. Well, I haven't got any flaws, so that's not too bad. Ticket to the last station. Extra move, only 1 per turn can be used. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to pick mentorship because 10% level experience gain for all units sounds like a good thing. And I'm going to pick Overwatch because this also gives you an experience buff when you move or attack. So let's give ourselves an experience boost. That's our general. There's a general mission statement about what you need to do. Basically, go and get Toledo and go and get a couple of cities with stars on them that provide you with a secondary supply source. We will be getting some reinforcements at various points, apparently. I'm not sure actually whether the game time, because we are in July 1936, will actually bring us to these. And here we are in the map. You can control the map by zooming. and the zoom is really quick. And you can control the map by going to the edges and scrolling. And you can control the map by ASWD. Unfortunately, you can't control it by things like page up or page down or by cursor, which I would personally like to see. Up in the top corner is your status panel that tells you what the weather's like, what the terrain is like overall, your influence, which is essentially money. I don't know why they just don't call it money. How many units are remaining to be activated? We are in the deploy turn, which is like a turn 0, so there are no movements this turn. Here are the controls for what you can do with each individual unit. Here is a description of the abilities of each individual unit. And here is your headquarters, your ability to manage and deploy new units, change your general, get help from the HQ with specialist things such as scouting, flip between your ground and your air units, and show the supply on or off. As you can see, the map does move quite a bit. If here I'm at the edge of the screen, it wants to zoom across, which is a little bit annoying. You can cycle through them with this next unit and next active unit, but I've not found that super helpful. Let's look at the map and see what's going on. So down here in North Africa, you have the Nationalist Army, I was going to say Republican, the Nationalist Army with some Germans to come and help them, and an airbase to lift them out from North Africa. You use the airbase because this Republican heavy cruiser will try and sink every and any ship you send across from North Africa to Spain. If we scroll up, we can see, actually, I'm just going to turn the supply on. I'm not going to turn the supply on. You can't turn the supply on during the deploy turn. This is Nationalist. This is Republican with a unit. And this is a concern. I did have a little dummy game and I was doing really well. I'd reached Madrid. I'd reached Toledo. All my forces were in the north. I'd sort of forgotten about this one and it popped out and cut this railway line, which was a bad thing. Schoolboy error, of course. We carry on up north. Here is one of our infantry units. Here is one of our artillery units. Here is our airbase with nothing on. If we go down south, we have an airbase with 2 transports and a bomber on. If we carry on north, we have more of the Republicans here, 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 and here. So kind of forming an inner front line with only a gap around about here. A nasty little couple of units here who are trapping my unit there. A small field army over here, and then more Republicans as we go ahead. As you can see, it's very disorganized. Here are 3 of my units. They all have supply. So in these numbers, the first 10 is their combat power, the second 10 is their supply status. However, when we go to the first turn, we will see that they're actually cut off at the moment. This city is one of our other objective cities, and it is a supply source from this little icon here. And this also is a victory city. So one of the strategies, if I just zoom out slightly, is to isolate the Republicans here to protect this supply line and ideally garrison this front here. And then go and capture this before advancing up one of the 2 railway lines. So there's a railway line up here that leads to Toledo, which is our objective. Another railway line comes up this way and goes this way along. And I rather like this one because, one, there are fewer enemy units, 1, 2, 3, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And secondly, there is another airbase here which we can use. So I think my initial plan is going to be remove this danger here, bring, of course, across the units from North Africa, clear out these two, and then head north to clear out these and link up with this airbase, and then give myself an option. Do I go through the north or do I come up from the south? That's the plan. Let's see how that goes. To do a turn, you click on that lever, and we are now in turn 1 with this as our summary of how we're doing. So the weather forecast is fine and fine. I think it's fine throughout this. To get a major victory, we have to win within 21 turns. To get a minor victory, we have to win within 28. We've already captured one objective, which is Toledo itself. However, we'll probably lose it because it's out of supply and it's going to be really difficult for those troops to hang on till we come and relieve them. We have objectives in these hexes. Nice if these were named hexes because they're all cities rather than references. For reference, the first 2 is the column and the 11 there is the row. However, they're not numbered, so it's not terribly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyhow, we'll get there. We need to destroy 13 enemy units, which should be fine. So let's continue. We have a gift. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? A free piece of artillery. Let's go down and see where we're going to think of putting that. We go to deploy units. Here's our artillery. And here are the places that we can bring it on with this little double-headed arrow icon. I am going to bring it on here. So a little quirk of the game. First of all, I didn't realize I've actually got 2. I've got some German artillery and some Spanish artillery. And to bring it on, you don't click on the label, you click on the icon. And there it is. And then we can bring this one. And there that is too. Okay. That's quite a powerful boost. You don't always get these kinds of things. Having just come on, it can't move any further. It is vulnerable. Both of these are vulnerable to these chaps leaving Cadiz, I think it is, and coming down and attacking them, which would be a bad thing. So I'm going to bring this unit across and screen them like that. To deselect, you need to right-click. So that's that. Zoom back out. We also have this piece of artillery here. As you can see, artillery does move very laboriously, and they are vulnerable once the enemy attacks them. Before I move that, I'm going to go and get some of these guys and bring them across. Click to select. This icon, the little bended arrow, allows me to transport. I could transport by sea, but that would be extraordinarily bad. Instead, I'm going to transport by air, and I'm going to drop them at the airbase here by left-clicking. And there they go. And this unit, I want to do likewise by air, and again, send them across. They can't go on exactly the same hex. There's no stacking in this game. So I'm going to put them here in an effort to screen this artillery. I wish I could move this artillery. Actually, I should have put it there. That would have been a better play. But it'll be fine. I'm not going to move this artillery. I'm going to go up and look at the rest of my units. Oh, actually, I'm just going to move the German to here and this German there, this German to there. To do air transport, you have to be on or next to an airbase. Let's go up and see what to do. So there are these guys nice and nearby, and we can bring them next to. We could attack. Now, as I understand it, the figures here, let me just zoom in to get a bigger thing, is 2 units are likely to be killed of the enemy. None are likely to be scattered, more of which in a moment. Whereas I'm likely to lose 3, so that's probably not a good thing. So I'm not going to attack this turn with them. What ideally I should do is bring up the artillery. Actually, I will bring up the artillery. It does, whoops, you see what I mean about it being a bit zippy? If this unit does come down and attack my artillery, it will cause losses, but then it leaves the town, and that's much better. You can see now I'm likely to cause 2 scattering. So scattering are temporarily inoperative strength points that aren't available. They will return, but for the rest of this turn, I believe, I don't know if it goes on for the next turn, they are unavailable. So the estimate is 2 scatter damage. Well, let's have that. And we got 2 scatter damage, and we got this 1 spade, and the 1 spade is we took it down 1 level of defensive ability. Now, if I go back to here, you can see I'm likely to score 3 hits against them, as opposed to still 2 against myself, which seems a much better bet. So let's do that. Particularly because I'm out in the open, I'm not getting any defensive benefits, so he can probably attack me quite successfully, so I need to start attriting him. There we go. I have the sound off because the constant music I find quite annoying, and there are no controls in the game to deal with music or sound effects. In that, I was due to take 2 hits. I only took 1, and he took 3 hits as advertised. So that's nice. Sad that this guy can't pile in because these guys are quite vulnerable at the moment, but they've only just landed, as indeed have them. That's a nice classic little attack. I'm going to go to here and switch to air units and see I have this bomber, which I cunningly forgot to use on that attack. But let's go and see if there's somewhere else I'd quite like to use it. If I zoom out, this is the extent of its range at the moment. So at some point I need to move it to the airbase here to increase that range. But for now, I want to come and get these guys. Flies over, does 1 damage, 2 scattering, and 2 levels of building. So that's nice. It means that I could attack here and potentially get a whopping 4, which would be great. Let's see if we get that. Okay, we get 3 for the loss of 1, but, you know, that's my kind of exchange ratio. This is absolutely how you should put things together. I think that's most of what I want to do. Let's just zoom out. Here we have these guys, and we have this guy, and we have this. Either this or that can get here. I'm concerned about this artillery unit that they have there. I can move him to here and then shoot at him. Oh, that did pretty well. 2 damage and 5 scattering. That was very nice. I'll move up this infantry 1 and move up this infantry to here, but I won't attack because it's kind of evens, and, you know, frankly, I don't have to. Let's go further north. You'll notice their supply, by the way, has each gone down to 9. You could suggest that it would be better to attack this one, but the artillery there is too dangerous to ignore. Probably would be better off over here. I hadn't thought of that. Let's carry on going up. We've got this unit, and I'm keen to put it here to protect the airbase. We haven't got anything on the airbase, but if I encourage these guys to come out and start attacking me, allowing me to dig in, that would be a good thing. I have these guys. I'm tempted to move them down. There is quite a large concentration of, let me just right-click to deselect it, just in case I accidentally do something. There's a big concentration of guys here, so I'm keen not to do anything with them. There are these guys here who could move in and potentially cut the supply line for the nationalists. I could equally go up and advance on this, and that might cause some trouble. Plenty of fun or mischief for this unit to advance towards. Okay, I'm going to send it down here because that was my plan. I had a plan, remember? So capturing these two and freeing up this railway line are important. So I'm going to move there. Also, this is flat terrain. This is hilly terrain. They will be able to move faster and get there sooner. Then over in Toledo, we have, or neighboring Toledo, this is Toledo here. We have this unit that I could shoot at, causing 3 scattering, or 3 scattering and 1 loss. Or I could try and move this to rejoin our forces. So last time I just allowed it to fight over here and nothing really interesting happens. They are super slow, although they can do that, but that's not going to do anything at all. I think I might be stuck on that. Oops. You can undo 1 or 2 things, but they're only moves, and clearly you can't undo things like putting them into a train, and now I've wasted its movement. Yeah, it's not very forgiving of mistakes. You really have to know what you wanted to do before you did it. But I'm going to leave this unit here and see if it can do any fun, and I've wasted this artillery. Oh, never mind. And that's all of our units aside from this one. Now, they are stuck in the middle of nowhere, and it's hard to know what to do given that they've got all these guys around them. I could go to the artillery, go here or here, and attack the artillery, and I would probably get a few losses. It's a bit of a suicide mission because they'll probably all pile in, but if I just leave it here, it will die in 10 turns anyhow, and they may well come after me. Yeah, let's do the suicide mission and see if we can do anything. See, 4 losses. That would be fun. So yeah, 3 losses off them, 1 off me. That'll do. And that really is the first turn. We do have a unit here. I'm not sure I can escape, but again, if I just leave it here, it will die. So let's see if we can squeeze our way out of that trouble. And that, I think, is the first turn. As I say, there are these units here that help you, but there's not a way to go, no, I don't really want to use anything here. So I'm going to leave them here. Once these people down here have dealt with this city, they're going to advance on this city, and these guys can come and join them if they haven't been winkled out by then. So that's the end of the first turn. Let's do one more turn in this little opener and see where that takes us. I find it's really hard to follow what the AI does. There's no sort of tracing to say, oh yeah, it came from here and went there. If you have the animation too high, it is a real struggle to understand what's happened, and it does tend to dot about all over the place. You could review this report here, but if you did that, you'd be there quite a while. And I don't think clicking on it will take you to the unit. So you're almost best off just having a little visual review afterwards to see how that all worked. Number of units without supply, 14. Let's go zoom in. And first of all, we'll just go south to here. So they did attack us. See, this mouse movement is a bit rubbish. So we can attack here. It won't do terribly much, but everyone helps. So a little bit of scatter. And we can attack probably, famous last words. So we've got the bomber here. But because I was selected the infantry, I think I didn't use the bomber. And I do that, you know, you focus on one thing, you haven't deselected, and you then fail to notice that when you click, you actually be initiating combat. Now, in this case, I got lucky, which is nice. We will take the bomber. Here, this unit did take the bait. It's come down and attacked the artillery, leaving the city that actually is the thing that we want open. But we can move the bomber here, and we can bomb it. and it takes a bit of a loss. And then go back to ground units, click here, attack it for more scattering, and then use our unit on the airbase to attack it for 6, I think, and it causes 7. We can advance and take the city and indeed carry on. I'm going to just turn on the supply. So you can see this was creating this big hole in our supply line. And just for now, that's all worked properly. I'm going to move these units up. Let me just zoom out one. And I'm just going to move this unit to keep hold of this city. I'm not quite sure how the zone of control kind of thing works. So yeah, I can see how controlling this city and having a unit there meant that all of these hexes are outside of our supply zone, and getting rid of it and moving this up probably will mean that these will become our supply next turn. I don't see why this, which is controlled by us, was outside of it. We have these guys here, and they have this funny little icon. I don't know what that means, but it's in red, so it's not a good thing. Probably. I'm going to keep it there. I need to move him to a railway line because I don't have any trucks at the moment, and to move him up by a big distance, I need to use the railway. Down here, we are going to use the supply plane and drop him here. And then we will use second supply plane. It did say that E would be a good shortcut for this to embark, but doesn't seem to want to work. And we will drop him here as well, which creates this. And if we look, I want to put him onto a railway line, so I'm going to put him there. Again, put him on a railway line. It's faster road movement, rail movement. I assume it works like that. And if I want to move long distances, I could put him on the railway line. This just leaves this artillery. I didn't really need to move it onto the airfield. It was still airfieldable, but he can't move because I've done the 2 planes for now. So that's here. I have kind of left these ungarrisoned for the moment. So we will see how that goes. One of the problems, if I zoom out, is that it's really hard to spot the difference between the nationalists and the Republicans, between us and the enemy. This double red-yellow is us, the nationalists, and this red-yellow-purple are the Republicans, but it really doesn't stand out very well. And of course, we have the Germans, who do stand out very well, unsurprisingly. Let's go north and see how this is doing. You'll notice that these guys have supplies of 8 and 7. We're going to move him to here and bombard this artillery a second time as well. We're going to move him to here. 2-to-1 attack. It would be nice if I wasn't having to attack the artillery, but I'm a bit scared of the artillery. And this will give me a 2-to-1 attack. He's got a strength of 5. Now, in part, that's because I think he attacked me, and that turned out to be a bad thing to do. Let's move this guy down and bring him to here so that next turn he could attack the artillery directly. And I think that's all we want to do. We could just take it on the chin and see if we can bring this guy down to 1. Let's do that. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So that caused 3. So that's great for 1 damage. And he's retreated. That's very nice. So we will take the city. And then these guys have now a 4-to-1. Hey, see, fortune favoured the bold. And that should wipe him out. Yes. That's tired him out, but that's okay. So now, with these guys racing up here, soon, these guys should be relieved. Now, they haven't got a lot left, but I think they've got enough with this guy's help to take this city here. Meanwhile, these guys are going to come round that side, and these guys are going to come around that side and remove this, and this will open up our supply through this city, Cordoba, and take us up to the north in a really nice way. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to press the turn just because I'm really interested to see how that changes the supply situation. See what I mean about the AI? Like, where's it gone? Yeah, I'm not expecting Cordoba to last much longer, but you can see here my lads in the airfield, although they're down to 6 and their supplies a bit beaten up, they have actually a good chance to destroy this unit. If I go down and across, the enemy's actually come out of here, which is probably unwise. I could move my unit up and keep on attacking him. A sign of a good game is that tendency to go, oh, well, just one more turn. You can see how my supply situation has really been boosted. I just need to take this city to and sit on it to get that. These guys are holding out, and these guys are going to come across. Of course, down here, the last of my North African forces are going to fly in. However, that's for the completion of this turn 3. It's just been a little taster. It's literally the second time that I've played this. I'm liking it. Yes, the user interface does need a lot of work. A lot of work. But the bones of it is there, and I'm really interested in how some of the depths, because obviously this is a tutorial scenario, this is kind of just the noddy level, how this will come to play. You know, what happens when you've got a lot of generals, each with a lot of personality types. There's a lot of depth that I'm not even really exploring in various of the factors. I'm just kind of getting my hands on the basics. As I said, there are a lot of niggly defects at the moment, and I will be sending these across, but I'm not going to let that upset how I feel about the game at the moment. I think it's shaping up, but I want to learn more. So you can't ask from your first clumsy toddler steps with a new game. I hope you found this interesting. Please join me for my next exploration of this game coming soon. Bye for now.